I am owner of a lonely fart. I'm an owner of a lonely fart. And the Suns play like a fart. And they have no heart. Matthew, what's going on? Welcome to the podcast, man. Let's have some fun tonight. Good night. Good night. Great things happening in Phoenix. Am I right?
Paradise, man. Paradise out here. And, you can't spell paradise without fart. So I'm really glad you brought farts into the pod because we got to liven it up a little bit, right?
I got 2 farts in paradise.
2 farts in paradise.
I hope you smell them. They're gonna be nice, yeah.
Every player we talk about, we should just name him Fart. And just,
or something like Flash.
Play the drop. Oh, let's talk about Fart. And then just play the Bradley Beal drop. Be like, Fart tonight was...
You're not...
Play like Bradley Beal.
You're not the only one, but you're the best, Bradley.
Jeez.
This is just one of those. It's an interesting day, Suns fans. So first and foremost, welcome to the Suns Jam Session podcast. My name is John Voigt, a managing editor, Bright Side of the Sun, and I'm joined as always by my podcasting partner, who I've been doing this since 2019 with, Matthew Lissy, senior managing editor of brightsideofthesun.com as well. It's an interesting day for the Suns because it's the day before the trade deadline. We are less than 24 hours from the league being shook to its core, but a lot of that foundation has already been shooken, if you will, probably by an explosive fart along the way. And in this occurring, there's been some dead ends that obviously the Suns are going to run into, transactions that were probably meant to be, rumored to be, haven't occurred. And the Suns are now, as we prepare for the trade deadline and something that's going to happen tomorrow, we don't know what, if anything, is going to happen for Phoenix. So you have all of that going on throughout the day. And, in the morning, Katie could be traded to Golden State. By the nighttime, Jimmy Butler's in Golden State. Brandon Ingram just got traded. So we definitely want to go over some of these transactions that occurred. But while all this is occurring, the Suns played a game tonight. And we knew this wasn't going to be probably the Suns' finest hour. Playing against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which is a team that is, quite honestly, they're a team that's a contrast in philosophies. They are somebody who is like the exact opposite of the Suns. Phoenix was once on a similar trajectory, right? They were building something successful, sustainable, and real. But that bright, shiny lure of Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal pulled them off that course. We were stockpiling draft picks, but that was a strategy that's used to often land top-tier talent. And when the wrong moves are made, it's all for nothing and your future's compromised. And to see a team that has kind of done it the right way, obviously lucking into somebody like SGA, who dropped 50 fucking points on us tonight, it's a very interesting day. And we're just going to have fun with this because what else are we supposed to do, man? Just sit here and cry and moan? No one wants to do that.
No, we were doing that in the game, during the game, on the playback. If no one was watching, we cried a lot. There's a lot of sobbing, a few poop breaks, and other than that...
You took a shower.
Sobbing.
You took a shower.
I took a shower, and I was actually live
playback.
taking a shower. So if anybody wants to check that out...
Yes. These are the things, if you go onto our playback channel... these are the things you're going to... Matthew's like, I'm going to be gone.
That's why we had only 2 viewers during that time. So,
and it was your mom. That's really just awkward for everybody.
She supports me no matter what. So.
She does. Yeah. So we appreciate everyone who's here supporting us right now by watching the Suns Jam Session podcast. If you get a chance to, if you have it in the kindness of your fucking heart, go ahead and give us a like. Subscribe if you're listening to this audio wherever you absorb your pod forms. And if it happens to be on Apple Podcasts, leave us a 5-star review. We'll read it here on the pod. Hell, I'll sing it to you. But on that note, we're going to talk about the game that occurred. The Suns getting destroyed, embarrassed, eviscerated by the Thunder. And then we'll talk about some of the trades and lack thereof on the Suns and some of the rumors and how we feel post-rumors. So crack them if you got them, Suns fans. I got a Coors Banquet hat on. I got a Coors Light in my hand. I'm a motherfucking hillbilly tonight.
Wine.
Matthew's drinking some
Jesus
port.
Christ in a glass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Matthew has the blood of Christ. Let's go.
Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.
Yeah, this was not a pretty game for the Phoenix Suns in the second half, as it typically hasn't been this season. And as we're watching this game live on playback.tv, and if you get a chance, go to our description. You can follow our playback channel and join and watch games with us. One of the things that I stated was there is a lot of people get excited for performances in the first half, and I never do anymore with this Suns team because I don't trust them in the second half. And they're up 63-61. Going into the half, shoot 60% in that first half, 46% from three. I mean, they look crisp. They look good. The ball's moving. We're commenting. We're like, wow, this team is really surprising us. And this brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I got to ask, what happened in the third quarter? A quarter in which the Phoenix Suns scored just 16 points. 14 of those come from the free throw line. They make one field goal in the whole quarter. It happened with 6:04 in the quarter. Bradley Beal made a tough runner. What happened in the third quarter, Matthew?
What happened in the third is Oklahoma City Thunder. They have a guy in SGA. They have a good surrounding of defense. Obviously, they're the best defensive team in the league, and they shoot the lights out. 50 points by SGA tonight, which is incredible. What was it, the third time in 15 days or something he did? He had 50 points, which is crazy. He's the MVP.
My fantasy team is very happy to have him rostered.
But, John, it's just cohesion, man. This team's been doing it all year long. That's all it is. We're a Suns team that is obviously coming off heartbreaking news, maybe in some people's views, that, Jimmy Butler's not coming here. Kevin Durant wasn't traded for maybe more. Just even trading Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler, all that fell through. Then you have to play a game against OKC, and you just know you have to play a perfect game. And that's what they did in the first half. Third quarter comes around. It's too much for this team. It's just too much to hold up. You're asking a lot from these guys. They're not it. They're not ready for it. Booker's not that guy right now to compete against teams like this. So that's what happens, man. We just get blown out. I was a little excited. I'm like, they're playing some good ball, but it almost has to be perfect for them to be only up by 2 points at half. So that's the scary part, and that keeps happening too.
Yeah, and EJ says it time and again on the broadcast that the fact that the Suns had 9 turnovers in the first half and gave up 9 offensive rebounds, and that the Oklahoma City Thunder in that first half outshot the Suns in total number of field goals attempted, 53-38. He goes, you're not going to win games this way. And he knew that they were up, but they're not going to win games this way. I actually just scraped the barrel, and I found this little stat, kind of to Eddie's point, right? You have to shoot more shots than the opposition. That's a challenge that the Suns have had this season. So that brings me to a nice little edition of Trivia Time.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
All right, 50 games. 50 games the Suns have now played this year because they're 25-25, and I could quickly do that math. How many games have they shot more field goal attempts than the opposition?
I'll say 9.
Okay. I'll let everyone kind of percolate over there.
Come on,
let them look. So this is, again, a reminder that
4.
So 4 from Suns Fever. And a reminder, to Eddie's point, if you shoot more than the opposition, you should have a better chance of winning. Keith Nettles says 3. Michael Evans says 10. Gabo says 7. All of you are short. The answer is 13. Now, here's the question. Here's the follow-up. Here's the follow-up trivia time question, which I guess I might as well go ahead and just play that drop again.
You know what time it is.
Trivia time.
13 times this season, the team has shot more field goal attempts than the opposition. How many times have they won?
5.
5 is correct. 5 is correct. That is correct.
Yeah, baby.
That is correct.
Yeah.
What does he win? What does he win?
New T-shirt, extra large.
Oh, 2X's, huh?
Yeah, let's go up a notch.
Get a little tighter.
Yeah,
there?
getting a little tight over here.
Okay.
You know, that was our plan though this year. Even Bill Simmons was like, they're gonna outshoot teams, but it just doesn't happen. Obviously, with our team tonight, it was really fast paced, a lot of ball movement. Great time, like getting from getting the rebound and just getting up court. There was really great timing there to kind of get everyone in their spots, kept moving, kept cutting, all that stuff. It was really good, but you just never see that all season. That's why it's surprising to see it like tonight, because if we're going to outshoot teams, we got to keep moving the ball, keep the pace up. And it just wasn't something this year that was consistent at all.
No, completely. And we do have some breaking news here. We have a move. It doesn't pertain to the Suns, but Mark Williams, the center from the Charlotte Hornets, is being traded to the Los Angeles Lakers.
Shut up.
Dalton Connect, Cam Reddish, and a 2031 unprotected first round pick and a 2030 pick swap. So they get Mark Williams because they need that center presence, right? Because AD's gone. They give up Dalton Connect. They also give up Cam Reddish, and they give up 2 picks. Thoughts on that real quick, Matthew?
Total bullshit. We have Nick Richards, and this is the better center on the team. It's just, it sucks because I was asking you on the playback. I was like, who else is out there as a center for the Suns to get? Because Valanciunas is gone. Vucevic is too much unless you want to trade somehow. If Beal goes there, we can get him and Lonzo Ball, like you said, back. But Mark Williams, like, he was the actual alpha dog. He was the center on that team that was putting out great stats. He's a legit 7-foot dude. And we have, again, like the Kirkland brand, but he's not the same type of player, but he's like a center. If we get him, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But no, the Lakers got him.
No, we got Timu. We got Timu Mark Williams.
Are you kidding me?
I am not. I
know. I'm looking at it right now. I'm just talking to.
Well, and that's definitely something we're going to talk about at the back end of this podcast, is react and talk about some of these trades that have occurred. But, circling back to this game, I don't know if I necessarily need to ask this question, but I'm going to. When was it over? When was this one over, Matthew?
I think as soon as the second half started. Okay, I was excited. I'm going to admit, the first half I was just a little excited. I'm like, maybe this team has a chance. And I was let down. It was over after I got out of the shower. And I forgot to shit before the shower. And I should have shit before the shower. And I forgot that's when tonight was over.
It was a very interesting... It was a very interesting cadence of events. I thought the same thing. I'm like, Matthew went and took a shower at halftime, and then before the fourth, he went and took a shit. I'm like, dude, it should be opposite. But anyways, I'm right there. It was over when Devin Booker made the second turnover in the third quarter, and you're like, oh shit, because we knew that we would be witnessing Oklahoma City on full display tonight. That they would be crisp, that they'd be connected, that they'd be relentless, and that's what we witnessed in the third quarter. They came out, and I said this to you during the playback. It feels like the opposing teams, when they go in at halftime, they pull out the whiteboard, they take a look at some sets. They got their scouting teams right there. They got the little Microsoft tablets, whatever those are called, and they're going over plays and like, see, this is what they're doing. And the Suns go into the locker room. They just stare at their phones. They're like checking Twitter. Yusuf Nurkic. Well, I don't even need to talk about him, but that one guy farts on eBay because he's trying to sell some old Topps 1988 baseball cards, and he's seeing if anybody's bid on them yet. And they're not even focused, and they come out so unbelievably unfocused and just start throwing the ball around the arena. And once again, that's what happened tonight. The third quarter stats, 1 of 13 from the field. That's 7.7%. 0 of 5 from beyond the arc. 8 turnovers. They allowed 10 points off of those 8 turnovers. They were out rebounded 12-5. They were outscored 18-2 in the paint and outscored 43-16. That's when this one is over. And in all honesty, I don't know how much more we need to talk about this game. I really don't. Because this was a thorough ass kicking, and it's something that I fully prepared for. Let's see. You want me to just read you real quick what I wrote for Bright Side of the Sun for the game preview?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Real simple. What to watch for. I want you to approach this game differently. As the Suns stumble through each possession, exposing the same flaws that have haunted them all season, shift your focus. Don't watch Phoenix, watch the Thunder. See how they move, see how they work together. Observe the effort, the chemistry, the unselfishness. Appreciate the identity they've built and the foundation they've laid. Yes, it's frustrating when the team playing the right way is doing it against yours. But instead of dwelling on how disjointed the Suns look, take in how seamlessly the Thunder operate. Because if you're going to find any joy in watching this game tonight, that's where it'll be. And then for keys to a Suns win, I wrote quite simply, play the perfect game.
Almost. They were halfway there. And they would have won by 2, maybe. If they would have played a perfect game. But you're right. As soon as those Booker turnovers came, that just happens to this team, man. You just see how much better these other teams are at just defending and staying long and just getting their hands on those balls that are like cross-court passes. That should not ever happen, obviously, but they keep getting trapped in these situations. Beal and Booker do it all the time where they get in these spots and then just start trying to force passes. And it just ruins all the momentum they've ever had, and they can't make those mistakes. And they can't give up the offensive rebounds. And that was something in the third quarter where you just can see this team is just totally given up. And that's when they start giving up. As soon as they're down by 20 in the third, it's over. Nick Richards' body language, everyone's body language are just kind of standing there watching these rebounds getting coupled by the freaking whoever's on the court. That's not even 7 feet tall. Like,
I know.
Everyone's just grabbing it. They're so quick, I guess. I don't know. But the Suns, when they're just standing there, they make the other team look way quicker. But just disappointing, man. Very disappointing tonight.
It's a reminder how far we are from being even a championship contender. You think about playing a team like this in the playoffs, like it's not even, I can't even fathom it. And I mean, we'll hand out. Oh, well, you were on the subreddit. Let's do a little subreddit stakeout.
Right now?
Yeah, fuck it. The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. All right, Matthew is
Been waiting for
Oklahoma City, which I gotta say,
Jimmy Butler, come on over here.
I gotta say, Oklahoma City, some of the lamest arena entertainment. They are constantly playing. Hold on, this door was open.
Oh, ghost! Oh, you got a ghost in my house, eh?
They're constantly playing music from a playlist from like 2010. It's like Katy Perry and Lightning and the Thunder, and they were playing Soldier Boy, Tell 'Em, like kiss me from the phone, kiss me through the phone and shit. I'm like, this? And then the halftime entertainment in Oklahoma City was a bunch of people jump roping. And so you went there tonight to see what they were saying on their subreddit, dressed as Gambit, not too far from the Creole Delta. But what was going on their subreddit? How much fun were they having?
Yeah, I was there, but I actually was not hanging out because I was actually out back smoking some cigarettes, playing some cards. And don't hang out with those old people. They kiss each other, all their cousins kissing each other, some uncles kissing each other's. So I don't really want to watch it and hang around. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
do. I do.
Someone actually said, though, when I was actually creeping around, someone said, I want to stunt on these hoes. So he's talking about the Thunder stunting on the Suns as hoes. Not too much actually going on in the subreddit today. So
I figured.
A few things about, there were some talks about SGA having a rough start. A rough start tonight. And then he has 50 points. But they also said that beat them so hard that they had to trade KD. They said it twice. Beat them so hard that they had to trade KD. That was twice in the comments. Or maybe they copied and pasted that twice. So I don't know. Obligatory fuck Grayson Allen. Never heard that one before, but obligatory fuck Grayson Allen, What are you going to do with that one? So they do talk about Shea a lot in the chat, and they say that Shea is a cheetah. So I can totally see the resemblance. What do you think?
He is a cheater. The way that he jumps into people. He jumps into people and causes contact. That cheating son of a bitch.
Yeah, he's a cheater. He probably kisses his uncle too. So I don't even know. But I'm just gonna spread some rumors. But Beal really said, "Oh shit, I really got to play some good basketball now again." So that's really what's going on in Phoenix. Beal's playing hard now that he's not gonna be traded. He wants to stay in Phoenix. So he wants to look like shit before. Rub their faces in dirt. And then that was the last comment I had. Nothing in there. That's about it. Sorry, guys.
The Suns Jam Session subreddit stakeout. All right, let's dish out some hardware.
Jam Star of the game.
Who do you give the Jam Star to in this one? Like Bradley Beal for a quarter?
Yeah, I think so. I think overall Bradley Beal had a good game.
He did. He had 25
played a
points.
solid bench game, what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Perfect game from him. So
Devin Booker, 3 of 9 from the field for 19 points,
disappeared.
6 turnovers, and they were fucking horrible turnovers.
Minus 36.
They were not good, as they would say.
No, they're not good. He's a guy in a situation where he has to kind of compete with these other stars, and he's not on that level anymore. He's not this season. Sorry.
Jam Star SGA from Saul Danny, who's Boyd's burner account, says Gillespie. Jam Star Palinka from Aussie Suns fans because he just got Bob Williams, whatever his name is. Royce had a good game too, and Royce from Suns Fever, Royce from Jones and Since 80. I think you guys are the Jam Stars. Thank you. We're being as positive as we can because I don't think we care anymore. No. Which brings me to our next conversation, and the reason I knocked all that shit out is because I want to talk about like the trade deadline farts. Like what's going on with the trade deadline. Obviously, there's been a lot of rumors. There's been some transactions that have already occurred, and I think the place that we should start is with Kevin Durant.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
So the Kevin Durant buzz started because of Luka Doncic. Obviously, with him being traded, it opened up the opportunity for pretty much every GM who ever has awkwardly stood around and had a conversation while they're at some NBA All-Star event banquet is suddenly a deal maker. So they're burning up the phone lines and they're throwing trade pitches and they're checking in on just about everyone. And of course, Kevin Durant's at the top of everyone's wish list because of you're a fool not to ask for him, right? I mean, he's about to hit 30,000 points. He's an elite scorer. And so his name has been thrown around, and the most aggressive team to go after him was the Warriors. And rumors started that he was going to potentially be traded to the Warriors. I was actually on a Twitter space last night with Trevor Booth, and I was asked that question: do you think he'll be traded? I said no. I'm like, there's a lot of smoke there. There's potential deals that could occur, but ultimately, I didn't think he was going to be traded. This morning, it was very close to a deal being traded or a deal occurring. Like it was almost like Butler, Kuminga, and some draft capital potentially coming to Phoenix is what I heard, and it fell apart because Kevin Durant didn't want to go to the Warriors, and the Warriors didn't want Kevin Durant if he didn't want to be there, and so Kevin Durant stays in Phoenix. So thoughts on all that? Thoughts on because we went through this whole gamut of emotions as Suns fans, right? We went from like, oh shit, we could trade KD. What do we think about trading KD if Butler's what we get in return? Because it started or young players and assets or Butler, and then it was okay. We don't trade KD. So walk me through what you felt as you went through all those gamut of emotions and options that laid before you.
So if it's KD for Butler, obviously I was on the side of like, let's just not do it. There's no reason to do that. We're not a better team. Obviously, we don't have any extra assets unless there were some first round picks to come along with that. I am in favor, obviously, if the Suns are shopping Kevin Durant in return for like a young player like Kuminga, who was involved in the trade too, Valanciunas, who might be just a decent center to have, but it'd be nice. And then you can have Jimmy Butler. So I think that's a more well-rounded team. Obviously, it's not as bad as like, hey, like we're trading Luka to get a better team, a better fit with Anthony Davis. And, because we can compete now. It's not that. It's just like, we need some young pieces. We need some draft picks. Because the way I'm looking at it, it's heartbreaking, obviously, to see if Kevin Durant's going to go. That's heartbreaking. But it's more heartbreaking to me just because it's like this team, when it first started, we were so excited with Kevin Durant being here. And it's just heartbreaking to know, like, hey, we've already been in a year or 2 years and a half with this same situation where we just cannot win. The first year was the best year with him, which was a half a year. But ever since then, it's been this complete disaster. So that's the heartbreaking part of this, is just it did not work out. And you had a chance with Kevin Durant, Devin Booker to make things work, and it just did not work. So then now, the way I'm feeling like these days is just like we have to get assets back. We have to start building, and hopefully we can get some young pieces to still compete. We're not going to be a championship contender, but keep things interesting for maybe a year or two until you get back on that page. Because no matter what you do with this team, if you were to even replace Kevin Durant with Jimmy Butler, you're not going to win a title. You're not going to do it.
Correct. Yeah.
I think even the Warriors getting Kevin Durant back, they're not going to win. They're not going to compete. They would have not done anything with that roster. But who knows? Because he's on another team, they might have won the championship. But it's kind of all over the place. I think for sure, like having Kevin Durant here this long, it's been quite the ride, but it's just about really like the future of this team for me. I don't care who's on it. I don't care if Booker even has to be traded. Like I've been that way for a little bit this
You're
season.
in full blow it up mode.
A little bit. I mean, I want to keep Booker, but it's just like, why? Like we're not winning any of these. We're not competing out west at all for years to come. If we just have Booker and we're kind of rebuilding around him with guys like Kuminga and stuff like that, like that's not going to work. And hopefully we just really rely on the development of like Ryan Dunn and just other guys to form around him, but it's just not going to work that way either. So I'm kind of just like, I wish I just had a bunker to go in and just kind of wait till the trade deadline and come out and just see what happens. All right, I'm going to continue living the rest of my life. I'm not going to worry about this anymore till it actually happens.
Yeah. So I agree with a lot of what you said. I think I kind of have a different outcome and perspective as a fan. I definitely think that obviously it's been 2 years since Kevin Durant arrived in Phoenix. And, through over 3 seasons, right? We went 8-0 with him, and we all know the history. And to me, the Devin Booker / Kevin Durant experiment has failed, but it hasn't failed because of Kevin Durant. And we talked about it a little on the last podcast and I said it myself, like I'm getting to that point where trading Kevin Durant for young assets and picks is something I could definitely ponder. And like, I would contemplate that. And that's what initially some of the reports were. But then Jimmy Butler entered the conversation. And that's where I was like, oh no, we can't do this. And yes, there was rumors that, a potential 5-team deal and we could end up with Kuminga and Jonas Valanciunas. And you can start to talk yourself into that a little bit. Booker and Beal and Butler plus Kuminga and Valanciunas, maybe a couple extra picks. You can talk yourself into that a little bit, but at the end of the day, my conclusion was like, no, because you're tripling down on a bad decision, and the bad decision wasn't bringing Kevin Durant here. The bad decision was bringing Bradley Beal here, because the supporting cast on this team, it makes sense. Kevin Durant and Devin Booker as a scoring duo is exactly what you need in the final 5 minutes of a game. The one glaring issue with this team is Bradley Beal and his massive contract. That $50 million a year contract isn't just an overpay, it's a roster killer. That's the kind of money that you can spread across 2 or 3 solid contributors, a Cam Johnson, somebody who's making 20 to 25 million, and give you the kind of depth this team desperately needs, and younger as well. Instead, it's locked into a player who, while talented, has been more of a luxury than a necessity. A player who operates in the same space as Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, creating more redundancy than synergy. And so if you go and you trade Kevin Durant for a Jimmy Butler, I was like, no, because you're swapping Kevin Durant and Jimmy Butler, essentially. It's almost the same exact situation, right? Butler has a player option that he, but expects an extension, which he got with Golden State. 2 years, $121 million. That's $60 million a year. Kevin Durant at the end of this year is going to expect a 2-year extension. So essentially what you're doing is you're swapping Kevin Durant for Jimmy Butler. And straight up, that doesn't make sense to me in any capacity. It's a smaller player, also injury prone, who's not nearly an elite scorer, and who I get what everyone says about team chemistry and leadership and things of that nature. But, truth be told, Jimmy Butler falls right into that same archetype. He brings toughness and he brings intangible this team could use, but history says that only lasts so long as he's happy. We saw it in Minnesota, we saw it in Philly, we saw it in Miami. The tides are shifting again if the situation isn't just right. Like if the temperature in the room is in a perfect 72 degrees, things go south fast. Butler doesn't just demand excellence, he demands an environment tailor-made for him. So I didn't want to do any of that. So once I found out that Butler was no longer a part of the equation, I was like, okay. And when they said that, when news came out this morning that Kevin Durant kind of nixed the deal, I was okay with it. And it's funny, Saul says in the chat, I didn't know KD had a no trade clause as well. No, I think the Suns did the right thing by saying, hey, would you be down to do this? They're being transparent. I think that's transparency, and I think that that's respected. Instead of operating in the shadows, look at Luka Doncic, look at AD, shocked, had no idea that anything happened. Now,
AD was happy.
I'm sure AD was happy, but
yeah, he didn't want to be with LeBron.
Luka's going to eviscerate the entire fucking Western Conference because of it. So that's where I kind of land with KD. Again, the crux of this entire situation is Bradley Beal, not the player. Like he's like, okay, player, he's a great dude, but what he represents, and he represents one of the poorest decisions ever made in the history of the franchise. And I don't want to give up Kevin Durant to try to right that wrong.
Yeah, I agree. With some of it, the only part I don't agree with is like asking KD. I get it. If he wants to go to a different destination, I guess that's a way to do it. But you have to think of this. Like, I know obviously Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson are not on the same level at all, and they never will be. But those guys at night before they went to bed found out that they're being traded without anyone asking them. Like there's players, I know he's Kevin Durant.
Exactly.
But he's not that player right now. He's not the guy that's going to win you a fucking championship. He's not Luka.
But he still has the legacy behind him, and he's still scoring 27 a game.
I don't believe in legacy. I believe in just what right now, and the Suns winning a championship.
I believe in respect. And I think that the Suns showcased the sign of respect. And I'm sure that Cameron Johnson and Mikal Bridges had an understanding because that conversation started that previous summer. I'm sure there was some semblance of conversations about like, hey, man, if it happens, it might be you. Because even Cam Johnson said that.
Oh, okay. Well, they all seem shocked. Even Booker did after it happened. I just think these things happen. And if it's for the better of the franchise and just to admit like, hey, we messed up and we have to trade one of these guys and it has to be Kevin Durant to get better for the future, then you just do it. You can ask him like, yeah, it sucks, but you're going back to Golden State. And you'll have Wiggins, you'll have all the guys back. You'll have Draymond.
Well, Wiggins would have had to go to Miami in that whole.
Oh, was he going to be gone? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you would have had the other guys there. Even Steph, like you want to play with those guys again, but he just didn't want to.
But he doesn't want to.
I know
he likes playing with Booker. He likes playing in Phoenix.
But I don't think that. I don't care. I don't care.
But it does to him. Apparently,
shouldn't care. So we're just gonna have a fucking sucky season now. The rest of the season,
we are. But it's not Kevin Durant's fault. Shit. That's the issue. It's so funny because he's not
who we thought he was.
No, Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal is not the guy.
We went after Beal. We wanted.
I know
Beal,
exactly.
And now he's here.
Exactly.
So, that's it.
The organization wanted Beal, and it was a horrible decision because it's hampered their ability to build around Kevin Durant and Devin Booker the way that you should, and the way that this team should.
Building around those guys doesn't make any sense anymore. You look at 10 other teams out west, they have guys that you can build around that are going to be built around the next 2 or 3 years. Booker and KD aren't those guys that do it anymore. That's why you have to get rid of at least KD and get assets back and maybe pull the trigger on Booger.
You flick the booger.
You gotta flick it off the tip of your nose, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's just where I am right now with this team. And we keep waiting and just like, oh, this is the game or something like that. But oh, here's a little streak here or there. But I just don't believe in it anymore. And I love Booker and KD, but I just for the future of the team, like something has to happen with these two.
Oh yeah. And I again, what you're hearing, Jamsters, is the exact way that whoever's listening, you feel one of two ways. You feel Matthew's way or my way, and no way is right, no way is wrong. The only thing that is wrong is the Phoenix Suns are not a good basketball team right now, and we're having this conversation. It's a conversation we all dreaded having when the season began. We're like, hey, man, if we kind of fucking suck around the trade deadline, do we blow this up? It's like, man, we won't have to deal with that. We started 8-1. And now we're at that point where it's like, there is still tomorrow. There's still an opportunity for these kind of things to happen. And tomorrow night, we're going to go live 7 p.m. Arizona time on a super duper mega pod where it's going to be ourselves. We're going to have the Fan of the Flames guys, the Aussie Suns fans guys, Suns Geeks going to be here. And we're all going to react to everything that occurred. But I wanted to have some of these preliminary conversations with Matthew because I know that when you have that many people on, it's hard for everybody kind of to give their point or engage, and or people have similar points of view. So it's just like, yeah, what he said. But the other thing that is happening while the Suns are sitting here on their hands because they have two assets nobody wants. Nobody wants Nurkic, nobody wants Beal. And those are two things you need to do to move to get this to my point, at least, fortify around Booker and KD. That is the end-all be-all goal that the Suns should have. And they're hampered and they can't do it. Meanwhile, as we mentioned before, the Lakers, who just got Luka Doncic, just got Bobby Williams. What's his name? Which Williams is it? Mark Williams. They just got Mark Williams, which is exactly what they needed. Okay, so they get better. And mind you, these are all teams that I'm about to mention outside of the Lakers, because the Lakers are they the 5th seed?
Yeah, they're 5th seed.
They're 5th seed. Okay, so you look at the Suns. Okay, the Suns are the 10th seed at 25-25. Just below them at 25-25 are the Golden State Warriors, who just did get Jimmy Butler. Okay, do you think they got better? They just got Jimmy Butler. Yeah, right?
Yeah, they got better. They didn't have to give up too much. I know they gave up Wiggins, and Wiggins has been balling out a little bit, but you got to get Jimmy Butler in there. I just think he's actually the star, and he can come in there and make a difference. It's not – that team's falling apart. They're not going to obviously win a championship, but it makes them better than the Suns right now in my eyes.
Agreed. I do agree. And it'll be interesting to see what Jimmy's impact is there. The San Antonio Spurs, who are 2 games behind Phoenix, they're the 12th seed at 22-26 and looked really good tonight in a win against Atlanta with their new addition, De'Aaron Fox. They got better, did they not?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're better than the Suns.
You look up ahead of us in the standings, also at 25-25, are the Sacramento Kings. Okay. They just got Levine, which is something.
Yeah. And Vucevic.
Vucevic? You mean Valanciunas?
Yeah. Valanciunas, yeah.
Yeah, they end up getting Valanciunas as well. So they're doing something. Now, we don't know if it's going to work out for them, but they gave up City Cisco. I don't even know who the fuck that guy is. And 2 picks for Jonas Valanciunas today, which is interesting because they have Domantas Sabonis. So they're fortifying big, depth, and have the 8th the Chicago Bulls that were the 8th seed perennially. Did they get better, do you think?
I think they're kind of flat. They're even. I feel like they're going to hover around where the Suns are going to be at the end of the year. So out of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the Suns potentially could be out of
11th and 12th.
If Golden State and San Antonio jump us, that's absolutely correct. The Dallas Mavericks got Anthony Davis, and then they traded Quentin Grimes today for Caleb Martin. Did they get better?
I don't care about that last move as much, but I do love the Anthony Davis fit. I don't like the trade, but I like the fits with that team. It makes sense. They're a better team for sure.
I agree with you 100% there. You never say they won that trade because they gave up a generational talent, but they did add somebody who's going to play pretty well, I think, with Kyrie. And I think that Caleb Martin's a good addition too. So, again, it's going to be interesting to see what the Suns can do, because guess what? All we can do is a move on the fringe. Kevin Durant's not going to be going anywhere. Devin Booker's not going to be going anywhere. As much as if we traded Bradley Beal tomorrow, I don't care for what. I don't care for what. I will be so happy. But truth be told, I have a shell of an article ready to publish on brightsideofthesun.com for when the trade deadline passes and Bradley Beal is still a member of this team, talking about acceptance and talking about how I'm trying to accept it even though I can't, trying to be positive. But it's not going to happen. And it's unfortunate because that would be the only thing that I feel could give this Suns team a chance, because right now, as of right now, this moment, we're only 3 games out of the 6th seed. 3 games out with 32 to play. So there's an opportunity to make up some ground if you can make the right move, if you can pull the right lever. But the right lever you can't pull it. You know why? Because there's a lock on it, and it says Bradley Beal, and he's smiling. He's doing that fucking me.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. That's just what it is, in my opinion.
Yeah, and back to the Booker thing really quick. So another take too on it. I mean, if you want to look at Book and just be like, he is obviously Mr. Sun, he's the best son of all time. But a lot of these guys are being held hostage right now on this team. And I think it has to do with Kevin Durant saying no today. I do admit that. I think so for sure. I think that we can't grow as a franchise because of Kevin Durant wanting to stay here, wanting to play. You can't build around him. Booker, you can't build around him unless you get him another star that's better than him. Right now, KD's probably a little bit better than him. Who knows? But you got to have someone
he's better
levels
than him.
ahead. Yeah,
he is, in my opinion.
But also,
easily.
Do you want Book to be here through all this, or do you want him? You know, I did say last few pods, like, does he care as much about winning? Because if he doesn't care, obviously he wants to win a championship. But if he does care, why not let him go to a team that you can maybe root for, that he's on? Obviously, you don't want to let him go, but like, I just feel bad for the dude if he's going to be trapped here because of Matt Ishbia and then making moves that just really punished us fans and the team itself. Why would you want to hold on to that? I don't think. Obviously, I would be very upset if Booker goes, but it's not going to happen this trade deadline. I'm just saying, in the future, it's going to happen. He's going to be a guy that a team needs as their main piece.
Yeah,
and we're going to have to let go of that. And for me, I think I would be able, as long as it's not the Spurs or Lakers, I can root for that team in Book. I just think it's getting to that point now to where we're going to have to kind of ease into that, because that is what the future is going to be.
I don't, because we're a team that's going to need him, and guess what? We already have him. Teams need him because they search for somebody like him.
But we can't build. And there's no way we can build around him in the next 2 years.
No,
right?
but guess what? In 2 years, he's still 30, and we still have at least 5 good years of Devin Booker.
He can't.
I think he can. I think he can. I honestly do. I think he can. I think he has a connectivity with this organization, with this team, and this community where the candid conversations can certainly happen. Be like, listen, dude, this is what we got to do. We've got to reset everything around you. Bradley Beal comes off the books after 2 seasons. Kevin Durant, if he stays and signs a 2-year extension, comes off the books after 2 seasons. After those 2 seasons, when Devin Booker's 30 years old, getting ready to be 31, that's when this team can lock and load, get youth around him, and let him be the guy who just shoots and hits jumpers. Because I look at the other side of that. The other side of that in the true blow it up model, because that's what you're saying, that true blow it up model. Okay. OKC is a great example of that. OKC is a team that had 2 superstars in Russell Westbrook and in the other guy, Paul George, right? And so they had those guys, and they did it right. They decided they hit that breaking point that you're talking about, where they're like, you know what? This isn't working. Let's not cling to false hope. Let's tear it down and rebuild it from the ground up. Russell Westbrook, they flipped for Chris Paul, who later became more assets, and 4 first-round picks. Paul George traded for a haul. 4 first-round picks, 2 pick swaps, a protected first, and a player who has since blossomed in a top 5 talent. And the reason that OKC and that model works is because they lucked into SGA. The only hope we would have to hold on to is if the Suns were to blow it up and have Devin Booker and Kevin Durant be like, poof, you're gone. And I'm saying, like, trade deadline tomorrow, this offseason, you're still stuck with Bradley Beal for 2 next years. You're building around him, a soft rebuild around Bradley Beal. And in those transactions, you're banking on the fact that you're going to get either an elite draft pick and draft him appropriately, something that the Suns, that's what killed the Suns in the 2010s, right? Multiple lotteries. Other than Devin Booker, nobody hit. TJ Warren kind of hit, nobody else hit. And you're hoping you get back a player who can get you to that promised land. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are the exception to the rule. The Boston Celtics are the exception to the rule. And the Rockets are the exception to the rule. So it is possible, because the Rockets and OKC are at the top of the league in the Western Conference. Boston's at the top of the league in the Eastern Conference and just won a championship. So it's not completely undoable. For me, I need my security blanket. I need this guy who's right over my shoulder every podcast, Devin Booker. I need him on this team. Blow everything else to the moon. I still want Devin Booker to retire his son. And that's the Suns fan. And you're probably talking more from a logical, like, brass taxes. This is what can make sense in the short term and the long term, because when Devin Booker is 31 and we're getting ready to pay him his 3rd max contract, that's going to be a hamperage to this team as well. But I have to have my security blanket, Matthew. I have to snuggle up my little Devin Booker.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, but the Suns did take shortcuts. It didn't work. They cut
Yeah.
in line. They have to get to the back of the line now. Like that's just the way it works, and it sucks to admit it, but that's just the way it works. And obviously, Jamsters, I don't want to get rid of Booker. I'd never want him to leave the team.
Got to
but
explore the conversation, though, right?
you have to admit it though. Like it's getting to that point, right? You see what you can get back from KD, but right now with Book in his prime, this offseason or whatever, just you can get back even more. So if this season ends the way it did last season, even if we don't make the playoffs,
Shit, we're not going to make the playoffs,
don't make the
man.
playoffs. Book's not going to want to be here.
If we don't make the playoff, and this is what I've always said with this Booker, Beal,
New York.
Durant trio, at the end of this season, that's the comeuppance time. That's where things that you're talking about might occur. Because the Suns, Kevin Durant, like, oh, I'm going to stay there. I'm going to stay there. Like you said today, right? Why does he want to stay here? Because he knows there's an extension waiting
He's
for him.
lazy.
No, he knows that Matt Ishbia is going to pay him. Why did Jimmy want to come here so bad?
If he pays KD, are you serious?
But I'm saying,
they're fucking not.
But that's where Ishbia can do a power play and be like, not doing it.
I think KD just doesn't want to go back. Maybe he's open to Miami or something like that, but he doesn't want to go back to the Warriors. And that was the only way to get out of this. And he would have probably, didn't he say other options? Like if there's another city you want to send me to, that's when you got to say, no, you're fucking going to the Warriors. That way we can get better. You want to go to your own city? Like, no, fuck that. That's what I'm at. I'm sorry. I am. I'm sick of the Suns getting fucking screwed over on this shit. And everyone
but they screw themselves.
Everyone gets whatever they want. The Suns just sit back and just get manhandled.
We got KD and we thought that was a great move.
It was.
Any
team would do that.
So it's not necessarily about the Suns getting fucked. The Suns also fuck themselves. And that's the moral of the story, at least in my perception. And when I look back at this era and how we fumbled these prime years of Devin Booker, it comes down to the Bradley Beal decision, in my opinion, because we didn't give the Kevin Durant and Devin Booker lineup an opportunity to breathe appropriately. We had CP3, we had DeAndre Ayton. Make it work, because that team looked fucking great together. They've 8-0 in the 8-0 in the season, and they didn't play. We went to the Western Conference semifinals. We lost to the Nuggets. CP3 got hurt. Remember, we were playing good, and the CP3 got hurt.
Yeah,
and we didn't give it a chance. We didn't give it a chance. And don't get me wrong, like DeAndre Ayton had all of his issues, didn't want to be here, probably didn't want to get yelled at. But you talk to the guy, man. Again, the team wasn't talking. They brought in Frank Vogel, who I felt was going to potentially mend that gap. He's a center whisperer, and he didn't get a chance to coach him. He didn't get a chance to coach CP3 and all that because they're like, oh, Bradley Beal. Oh, and they're like, oh, man, he's amazing. Matt Ishbia's like, and you can't tell me that Isaiah Thomas wasn't behind this all, because there's no bigger Isaiah Thomas-like general manager move to go and just try to get the biggest fucking star. That's all he did when he was in New York. He's like, ooh, Amari Stoudemire. Ooh, Carmelo Anthony. 100%. And it never worked because he chased the big names. And what he did is he put that franchise 10 years behind their natural growth pattern, because they're going for big names that aren't cohesive, and they're giving up picks to do so. So when those guys don't work out, just like it's working out in the Suns, they don't have picks to lean back on.
And don't say it's James Jones. It's not James Jones. This is Matt Ishbia making these 100%. Moves. And that's why James Jones is not fired. Like, if this doesn't work out and there is like a big trade with KD or Book, James Jones will probably not be fired, because this is Matt Ishbia making these moves that really destroyed everything leading up to this point. Like he said, like even with having DA here before Beal came, like obviously looking at back in the day, I was like, he's a pain in the ass. Let's just get somebody else. Now it's like, oh, fuck, maybe we should just let it breathe, like you said. But Matt Ishbia cannot make the move to get rid of James Jones, because he's the one pushing the button on these things. But James Jones is like, all right, I told you. He's probably like, I'm telling you, this is what's going to happen. He's like, no, let's do it.
James Jones was always he was always super conservative before Ishbia came here.
Even the KD trade deadline, he's like, nothing's going to happen. He told us. He's like, nothing big's going to happen, because he knew. He's like,
nothing's worth it in the long run, and we're in a good place. I like what Benjamin Timmons says in the chat. And again, thanks to everybody who's sitting around hearing us debate about this stuff. Instead of handing the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, we threw the ball. It's a great summation of what the Suns did, man. So, now here we are. The trade deadline's tomorrow, 1 p.m. Arizona time. So We're not going to be doing any emergency pods, even if Beal gets traded. Maybe I might just be like, Matthew, what are you doing? But like, I got to work tomorrow. You got to work tomorrow. But 7 p.m. right here, the Suns Jam Session podcast. We'll be going live in a super duper mega pod with the Aussie Suns fans podcast, the Fanning the Flames podcast, Suns Planet podcast hasn't committed. Suns Geek. Like, we're gonna have a lot of good.
All the good-looking dudes.
Well, good-looking dudes.
Yeah,
I don't know if
dude.
they're good opinions. I mean, if Boyd's going to be there, it's not a great opinion. It's just, it's just random.
Well, he's my favorite to listen to. So.
Yeah, his voice is sexy as hell, but it's just like what he says is just horrible. It makes no sense. It's not as bad as saying, go and get Jeff Green. I mean, that's what Jake said over the Suns plan. He's like, trade KD, full reset. Jeff Green, he's a good defensive player.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll probably get Torrey Craig.
I'll just shoot my nipple off, and that's it.
Well, we don't want that. I'll just fart. So on that note, again, James, thanks for hanging out. Suns get fucking throttled by Oklahoma City. Trade deadline tomorrow. We'll see. Oh, and this is interesting.
Oh, there we go.
Because I said I was going to do this in the chat. Peter Papalardos watched the 2023 pod just after the Suns got Beal, because I told you I want to go back and listen to that and hear what my take was, because I thought I wasn't a big fan. Voida wasn't hesitant. Voida was hesitant about the trade for Beal, but was impressed. Lissy and Suns Geek were for it. So was I. Many of us viewers were concerned about the future. Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
I was impressed that we pulled off the move, but I was
hesitant.
But I was hesitant on getting the player. Sounds about right.
And I was the one always saying contracts don't matter, but obviously this is the one that does matter. So
it does matter. So on that note, Jamsters, thanks for hanging out. Subscribe, rate, review, hit that thumbs up button. Matthew, tell them what to do.
All right, go and love your family, everybody.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.